Welcome back to the Yankee and the Brit. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. We're going to talk some Super Bowl quarterback carousels, maybe a little bit of coaching, some refs.
Yeah, big show today. Our first one after the Super Bowl, and congratulations to the Kansas City Chiefs for winning the Super Bowl. And Patrick Mahomes already has more quarterback wins in a Super Bowl than Aaron Rodgers. So congratulations.
Damn, we got Mike Florio on the show. Any chance to take a shot at Rodgers right off the bat? He's taking a shot. Maddie brought a machine gun today.
Yeah, I just want to say that to the people who were questioning Patrick Mahomes' greatness before the season and saying it was all down to Tyreek Hill and all of that kind of stuff. Let's just nip that in the bud. The club of guys who've won 2 Super Bowls is incredibly impressive. You can say, oh, 1 Super Bowl is being won off the back of other people and everything like that, but 2 Super Bowls, you're getting into the realms of being an incredibly impressive QB. He's also won the same amount of Super Bowls as Brady, or one more than Brady did in his first 5 years, and things like that. Not here to compare Patrick Mahomes and Tom Brady's legacy, obviously.
No, but you'll take a shot at the greatest quarterback to ever throw a football, like talent-wise, not anything else. I've never seen a better ball thrown than Aaron Rodgers, but I think Mahomes is already on his way to the Hall of Fame. He's great. He's amazing. Yeah. And there's this old saying, and so I don't mean disrespect, but everything you say before the word but really doesn't matter. But he got outplayed even though he won.
He made less mistakes than Jalen Hurts.
Oh, you mean on the fumble where Jalen Hurts got face masked and they didn't call it? Yeah. Yep. That's 7 points that shouldn't have been.
Yep. Again, fair point.
The refs were awful. I do not think the game was rigged or anything like that, but those refs were fucking awful.
Yeah, I think we're getting to the point now where what's difficult about the refereeing is the inconsistency. I can't stand by that call in terms of the fumble and the face mask and everything. There are other calls that are to be disputed and things like that, but it's the consistency. It was a very hard-fought game, and I like that about the refereeing calls. But at some points, they were a bit more lenient. At some points, they're not so lenient. It gets to a point of inconsistency where it's getting ridiculous now. And it's happened all the way through the playoffs. It's pretty terrible. I don't really know how to fix it, is the issue. I'm always with make the refs full-time and make them come into facilities. So like Premier League refs in football, they have meetings all the time to discuss the plays of the week and everything like that and go through that. I don't know whether they do that in the NFL, but if you make the guys full-time, make it their full-time job, you know that you're within full rights to have those guys at some sort of regional NFL facilities all the time to be talking about these kind of issues.
All right. Before I get into this is how half the league see the refs. This is how the other half of the fans of the league see the refs.
Yeah.
I don't think the refs did it intentionally. I think they affected the outcome of the game. It was CBS Sports. I don't know if it was TikTok or Instagram. I seen it on Instagram, but where they posted it originally. 6 plays of the same exact thing throughout the game, never a flag. The ref who threw the flag hasn't thrown that flag in 2 months, and it was over 600 plays since he threw that flag. But he decided that he hasn't thrown it enough this year, I guess, and he figured that he'd throw it right at the end of the game so that the refs become the headline instead of the players and the teams themselves.
I think it's really important not to focus on the play at the very end of the game in terms of the refereeing, because and here's the reason
then,
why.
Are we supposed to focus on the 2 pass interferences that they let go?
No. Focus on what I'm saying is we focus on the game in its entirety, because like I agree with you, the refereeing was inconsistent. Yeah. Where I get frustrated with the refereeing, I don't hate. We spoke about this before we came on. I don't hate the overturn of the call on the Devontae Smith catch. Don't hate it. Ball was moving.
It's the pass interference that I'm calling. He was literally hugged and his arms were like this, and he still caught it.
Yeah, I can see that. And in the regular season, like that's That's in the playoffs. Sorry, that really hasn't been called that much. There has been a lot more hand fighting, which then calls into question the final call. And the final call
600 plays,
Hmm?
600 snaps. That ref has not called that over 2 months, and he decides that time. And hey, let's go over the rule. The ball has to be catchable. Was not catchable. 2, it has to be holding can't be called within the first 5 yards. You can get him with pass interference only if the ball's out of the quarterback's hands, but not holding.
Yeah.
And the actual hold has to impede the player's movement.
The holding bit, like he pulls, like it is pulling of the shirt. It is an obvious hold. Like it is a hold.
You can't call holding if the ball's still in the quarterback's hand within 5 yards.
Right, but then the uncatchable ball makes no sense either, because the uncatchable ball has to be if it's already in the air.
But that's not how the rule is. If the ball's uncatchable,
the throw, like Patrick Mahomes throws that deeper because he has to kind of more throw it away because the guy's being held already. You can call holding within the 5. You can call
that would have been pass interference
within the first 5 yards. Can't you? If it's like a genuine like hold, it's the same if it's a hold on a defensive player going for the quarterback.
I don't know. I went and read the rule, and that has to be a pass interference with the ball out of the quarterback.
You know what? This right here is the fucking problem with the NFL right now. Like,
don't quote me. I'm not a rule expert. I just went and read the fucking rule. But
I went and read the rules. I've listened to Mike Pereira, and I've come away from a totally different way of viewing the game in those terms of rules than you have, and that's ridiculous. Now these referees get paid to make the calls and all of that.
Shout out to Mike Pereira for calling that call awful and shitting on the refs like 3-4 times on that game. And Mike Pereira shitting on the refs is, I wouldn't have called that. I didn't see that. I don't think it was enough for a call, that kind of thing. But at least he'll say something.
Yeah, I think for me it was a hold. Like if I was at Kansas City,
I told you I don't have a problem if they'd have called it the whole game.
If it's the whole game
during the game. This isn't even hindsight for me. No, a lot of people went back and saw the clips. I told you right after the game, like they let them get away with it all game and then call it. I still think Kansas City wins. That's the thing. I don't think that, but it just pisses me off that the refs become the talking point. That's where my irritation.
Yeah, exactly. So what's happened here is, and we've started our show doing it. We've fallen into the trap because it needs to be fallen into. Is the issue? It's the first 10 minutes of our show on the Super Bowl is now discussing the refs. When, to be fair, that refereeing call, like if that goes either way at any point of the game, you're not going to go back and say, oh, that's the reason why we won. That's the reason why we lost the game. Like Jason Kelsey's really good on this. He says like,
if that's the only bad call, you can get over it too.
Exactly. If that's the only bad call in the game or the only questionable call in the game. And I think you can get away with both those, the Devontae Smith pass interference and call where it was a catch and then it wasn't a catch.
They have to change replay. They have to, because how can you go into that play and they look at everything except the pass interference? They can't call the pass interference after the fact, which they should have been able to come back and say, no catch, pass interference, defense, ball at the spot.
So this is where VAR is in football right now.
And it could be so quick, it could too.
Well, rugby has it down. Like rugby and cricket, unbelievable video replays. Like cricket's a different game entirely because it's a lot slower. I think baseball fucking video refereeing could watching cricket and showing how that takes away the ideas of this strike box. It's outside the strike box, but he's still calling it a strike and all of that. Like that's so easily solvable. Didn't think I'd be talking about baseball today. But cricket's a totally different game. But rugby is the same fast pace. It's actually way more fast paced than American football. In American football, you have ad breaks. There's 40 seconds between every play. There's so much time that you can use to actually get calls right. Why are there some calls that you can speak about and some calls that you can't speak about? And also with rugby refereeing, so watching the game in the stadium, you hear the referee explaining as he's watching the video, he's explaining it, and you can hear the conversations of them all working together as well. You can say, and the referee can say, "Oh, that's a high tackle," and then the guy who's in charge of the video replay then goes, "Oh, actually, have you taken this into account as well? Because I know you're looking at this one thing, but also look at this." And it's like, "Oh yeah, didn't see that. Thanks very much." And you see the collaboration. Like if you hear them making the decision, they can review everything. Would just make so much more sense. Like everything should be referred. If you're going to use it, use it. If you're not, then fucking don't. Right? And with and it speeds everything up as well. Like if you actually just listen to each other, and it becomes more understandable from the ref's point of view if you're watching them make the decision. It gets rid of this fixing idea.
Yeah, I don't think there's any benefit to fixing games. And why is there so many teams who have never won a Super Bowl if it's rigged? That kind of thing. And how did Jerry Jones not buy himself another one by now if that's the case?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, well, everybody fucking loves Patrick Mahomes. They're going to make him the best of all time. So that's why we're rigging the games. And it's like, the NFL fucking hated Tom Brady and he's won 7.
The NFL loved Dak his rookie season.
Yeah, the NFL loves Dak Prescott. He's just won Walter Payton Man of the Year. Like, Dak Prescott would have won the Super Bowl by now.
Well, I think the fans actually hate Dak now for like the majority or dislike because but his rookie year, people loved him because of what he was doing as a 4th-round rookie. And then a lot of it started, I think, with the contract, and then you don't live up to what people think you should once you get the contract they didn't think you should get. And
everybody's saying, oh, that needs to get paid, and now he's not as great when actually he's in the top 5 for yards per season. And
I've seen Cowboys fans saying to get rid of him.
Yeah, me too. It's ridiculous. Cowboys fans are arseholes. Don't listen to that. Apart from me, obviously, but yeah, otherwise. You look at the refereeing calls and it's the timing of that refereeing call kind of ruins the fucking game is the issue. And that's what Travis and Jason Kelsey said about it. They were saying, do you know what? I don't have a problem with the call and losing. Like, we deserve to lose. We made more mistakes. The 2 touchdowns that the Chiefs did get that don't have any controversy behind them, like they got blown out on the same play twice, just on different sides of the field. Like the Eagles defense played horribly in the second half. Pat Mahomes threw one incompletion and it was a throwaway out the back of the end zone. Like the Chiefs played well. The Eagles defense wasn't so great.
We talk about how bad that field was.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Both teams were slipping everywhere. Like this should not happen in the Super Bowl. You should have the absolute best field possible. No player should slip down because of paint and bad surface or anything in the Super Bowl. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, no wonder Kyler Murray's injured all the time if that's what he's dealing with, like a lot of the time, right?
I just had to point that out. Like the NFL's got to do better.
Yeah, that's but again, I don't think that decides like the winner of that should decide the winner.
I'm not saying this is a fact, but there's a lot of TV heads saying the reason the Eagles got 0 sacks is because of the field surface.
Yeah. I mean, it comes down to surface though, doesn't it? Like the Cowboys defense is the best in the league when it's in on turf, and then it's one of the worst when it's on grass. Like it's, like that.
Yeah,
sacks are harder to get. It was a bad, shitty field. Don't get me wrong, but the Chiefs were playing on the same bad, shitty field. Like it's not
right. Yeah. But I'm just saying, if it does slow down a defense, that's a top defense. That is a problem. But the NFL has to do better. Like you cannot have these shitty surfaces, bad refs, all of that. And now everybody's crying about the Eagles' new quarterback sneak. And I'm like, can we stop?
Yeah, it's. I just look at it, and there is a lot of crying around this Super Bowl, and I'm not too happy about it because this is still, even with that refereeing call, one of the best Super Bowls of all time. Well, like that was an amazing Super Bowl, high scoring, 2 quarterbacks who've played great all year, going at it. Jalen Hurts looked fucking amazing. I mean, his arm kind of.
You can call him a great quarterback, even though you didn't want to. You can.
Yeah, that's like I tried and then didn't, and then kind of went in the middle. I really like Jalen Hurts. Like I've liked him since he came into the league. I'm not in the realm of calling him great so far. He played great this season.
Surprise question.
Hit me.
Who would you rather have, Dak or Jalen?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to say Jalen or Justin Fields, and I was like, obviously Jalen Hurts, man.
No.
Like, come on, stop trying to make me look bad. Jalen Hurts or Dak Prescott? It's one of the comparisons where the leadership of Dak kind of doesn't make as much of a difference. Yeah.
Jalen's younger, stronger, better runner. I don't know.
Hurts opens up the offense a lot more. Hurts this season, Hurts 100%. I think we need one more season of Hurts. And
I agree, but I think we're going to get it. So I'm
exactly. Dak not to have a season where he throws 15 interceptions. Let's see where we go from there.
I'm willing to bet Dak does not throw 15 interceptions next year. I don't know if it'll be more or less, but I bet it's not 15.
Not exactly 15. I'm taking the under on 15 by quite a long way, I think, on Dak Prescott next year.
I enjoyed that Super Bowl up until that last fucking call, though. I really did.
Yeah, it was an amazing Super Bowl. Great game. The two best teams in the league in both divisions. The two most consistent teams in both divisions, definitely. It's a shame that the Eagles were one of them for obvious reasons, but they definitely deserve to be there. They were great.
They got picks, they got way to make big cap room, but they got decisions to make.
Yeah, definitely. And the Chiefs, amazing for Andy Reid to get another one, especially against Philadelphia. Pat Mahomes, again, an amazing quarterback already in the Hall of Fame in my book, definitely going in. And one of the greatest quarterbacks to play the game. Travis Kelce, best tight end of all time, in my opinion. I think he's better than Gronk. I think he makes a bigger difference than Gronk.
I have a rule that you have to be out of the league before I will call you the greatest of all time, because it makes my life so much simpler and debatable.
Yeah, I just think with Travis Kelce, you're at a point where it's hey, man, any era Travis Kelce could play football in, if you look at it. Same with Gronk, same with Tony Gonzalez and things. But Travis Kelce's incredible. The Chiefs did it without Tyreek Hill, which is a big deal as well, to a lot of people saying that they lost that trade. I think, again, a trade with two winners, right? Tyreek Hill goes to the Dolphins, has a great season. The Dolphins
look Tyreek.
Well, okay, maybe apart from Tyreek. Well, I don't know. Dude gets to live in Miami and is getting paid a lot more than he was getting paid at the Chiefs. He's already got one Super Bowl. Some guys only need one, and then you're okay.
One more year, he could have had another ring. So, Maddie, we got a quarterback carousel conversations going on. Where does Derek Carr go? He's already a free agent because he was released, so he can go anywhere he wants at any time. Does Rodgers get traded? Does he come back to Green Bay? I don't think he's done. And the reason I don't think he's done is because he's owed $60 million this year.
Yeah. He's not done. Aaron Rodgers is coming back and playing in the NFL next year.
No matter if he wants to or not, that's $60 million.
Yeah, right. There's no way he's leaving that alone. Obviously you also have Justin Hurts, who's complaining about the weather, which means the Chicago
Justin Fields. Look at you, Justin Hurts.
Justin Fields. Sorry, was complaining about the weather and it needs to be traded. And Lamar Jackson is still not signed for the Baltimore Ravens.
So I'm going to show everybody something that proves exactly why the Bears should run and get what they can and fleece another team. Because how many quarterbacks are there in the NFL, starting quarterbacks in the NFL?
32. Is
there? Look at this graphic. So Justin Fields, last completion percentage, 35th, touchdown to interception, 33rd, passer rating, 33rd. There is bench quarterbacks who scored higher than Justin Fields this season. Just run. Just run. The Bears just need to run, trade him. And I hope they don't, because I don't want Bryce Young in the division, but just run.
Yeah, number one rushing quarterback in the league. If you add yardage together, I know your quarterback, I know
you can get a great running back in the 5th round.
Yeah, I know your feelings on running back. I also think that it's an unfair assessment in terms of they have the worst wide receiver room in the league by quite a.
I don't think he's a running back. I just think he's an athlete who can't throw.
Yeah, they have the worst. The wide receivers get no get no separation. The system is all wrong. He's
I
not been
see
supported.
Lamar get hella completions with no receivers.
Yeah, he's Mark Andrews. Like the only time Justin Fields throws completions is to Cole Kmet. And Cole Kmet is not Mark Andrews.
And that's at like
Yeah, and he has great
of the
running.
time. 59% of the time he completes those things.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson had a better offense built around him. Like he still had
Not when he was younger, not when he was a rookie.
He still had some element of wide receivers, and Mark Andrews is also in the conversation of amazing tight ends. And a better offensive line. Although I'm starting to come around to the Bears' offensive line a little bit, not loads, like a little bit for the run game. Their offensive line in the run game is awesome.
What do you do if you get down by 10 points and you're the Bears?
You hopefully draft some good wide receivers this year and see where you go from there.
Dude,
Justin Fields is such a game breaker that it doesn't. Justin Fields is such a game breaker that it doesn't matter in terms of like
you could put Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase, Randy Moss, and Jerry Rice with him, and he'd still be a middle of the road quarterback.
I'm all right. Yet middle of the road throwing quarterback, middle of the top tier of all time running quarterback. The game, it doesn't have to be a one-dimensional game.
Primarily running quarterback, because that's what he would have to be, even at middle of the road. Because what are you, Ryan Fitzpatrick at the middle of the road, Andy Dalton? So if he runs, what primary running quarterbacks ever led their team to a Super Bowl?
That's a fair assessment on.
So I always say Justin Fields will give you exciting plays that will never equate to wins.
Okay, so where you are with Justin Fields in terms of this, though, is you got
to win a Super Bowl, bro. You were traded up for in the first round, or you're a bust. For real, that's how it works.
Yeah, I mean, for Justin Fields in terms of his time in Chicago and whether they should draft
he should pray to get traded.
No matter what, Justin Fields should 100% pray to get traded. I really think it will work so much better for Justin Fields the trade than it would for the Bears right now. So
there is only one team I could see him successful with.
Okay.
The 49ers. That's it.
Who should have drafted him over Trey Lance third overall? That they should have. They 100% should have.
I still I'm not disagreeing. I just still don't know what Trey Lance is. I have zero idea.
Injured.
Right. Right. He's one of these guys who has a couple freak injuries in the beginning of his career and never gets injured again. We've seen that. Or is he one of those guys that's just consistently injured, like Jimmy G?
Yeah, it could be. The issue with Trey Lance is that he didn't play for 2 years before this and now hasn't played for 2 years after. So he hasn't played. Deshaun Watson, after 3 years, looks horrible. Starting to blow some dust off by the end, but still looks awful after 3. How are you going to look for 4 when you've barely paid? He's only completed 3 games in the actual NFL?
Yeah, I don't even know.
Crazy.
Did he get hurt in game 2 this year or something?
Well, it was against the Bears in game 1.
Oh, he did get hurt in game 1?
Maybe game 2, game 3.
Whatever. He's I have zero idea what Trey Lance is. And that's when I hear people go, people should trade for Trey Lance. Well, what are you going to give up? Because I'm not giving up a first for a guy I have zero idea. But if somebody said,
I'd rather take Jordan Love this season. If I was going to, I'd rather have Jordan Love.
You can have Trey Lance for a third. I'm like, all right, give me Trey Lance. Let me see. You ain't got to start him right away. But I don't know if people are trade for him. I'm like, I don't know.
The Vikings would actually make sense. But back to Justin Fields really quick. I think the way that the Bears should play it with Justin Fields is that they should go, do you know what? We haven't given him the situation to succeed. We haven't given him the environment to actually succeed. And we have the ability to make an actual genuine, decent offensive side of the ball this season with the amount of draft picks they've got, with the amount of cap space they've got available. And they can see, they can actually get an actual assessment of Justin Fields. And if he plays like shit, then the quarterback class next year is better than the quarterback class this year. Bryce Young would be, I've seen a lot of commentators say, if the top two guys in the next class came out at the same time as Bryce Young would be third off the board in that draft. So, like, the Bears only have to play so badly, and they're in the run for the two better quarterbacks than Bryce Young.
I like Bryce Young. I like him a lot. I think he is going to be a really good NFL quarterback. Everybody's like, well, his size. I'm like, well, you can't hit the quarterback, so I don't know what anybody's worried about. Like,
I don't know because he's skinnier than, like, he weighs nowhere near Kyler Murray, even if you made Kyler Murray go on a massive diet and drowned Bryce Young. Like,
yeah, but he hasn't even grown fully yet. Like, he's still young. Like, you fill in, and I don't know, man. Like, there's no way Drew Brees is 200 pounds.
I'm on the side of the smaller quarterbacks. I kind of like it. I like him in the league. Drew Brees showed that you can pass over the middle. Russell Wilson has won a Super Bowl and is a small quarterback. Kyler Murray is like, Kyler Murray is constantly injured is the issue, and they're using him as like the stigma for all of these guys. Lamar Jackson, like, is a skinnier quarterback. He's always kind of hurt as well. So I think he'll be like, he's the first overall pick. I've seen somebody fucking put CJ Stroud as the first quarterback off the board. Like, CJ Stroud's okay. Bryce Young is way better. Not even close.
I don't know what CJ Stroud is because he didn't show us everything we wanted to see until the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, it was weird. Like, you know what I mean? And then I'm sold on Bryce Young, and I really think this. I think no matter what happens with Bryce Young, he's still a step up from Justin Fields. And teams are always like, you got to swing big. You just got to go for it. How about you admit you fucked up with Justin Fields and swing and get you a quarterback?
How much of a difference does Justin Fields' comments on a podcast about he doesn't like the cold weather in Chicago and he hopes that they get a dome in their new stadium where they've just bought the plot of land for and everything? How much do you think that affects him getting traded? Because they said they're not trading him and they're going to, well, they haven't said it, but the vibe has been pretty clear that they're going to trade back and keep Justin Fields.
You can't believe anything anybody says right now anyway. So, but I don't think they're going to trade him, but you still can't believe it. But isn't it like they can't move out there to their new stadium till 3032 or something because of their lease? So, or 2032. So, like, what would be the, like, 10 years or 8 or 10 years from now is when they can move in there? Like, bro, you're not even on the fucking team.
Yeah, bit of a weird thing to say, right? Like, it's a weird
Unless
thing.
they're working behind the scenes to get traded, you know what I mean? But I haven't seen that. That's just me throwing an idea out there.
Yeah, I think that's like looking into a lot of speculation, but I wouldn't be surprised if he secretly kind of wanted to get traded. Like, I think he may have definitely wanted to go to the 49ers, which, I mean, every single person in that draft wanted to go to the 49ers at 3. Like, 3 was where you wanted to be, right? And
yeah, well, even if you're a 7th round quarterback, you want to go to the 49ers.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. You want to be straight in the 49ers team. But, like, that's where all of those guys wanted to go, right? They wanted to go to the 49ers. So I'm not sure how happy he is that he's in Chicago the whole time. But, like, Fields, man, like, come out, prove yourself at Chicago, and then go from there. But for the Bears organization, the fan base clearly like Justin Fields. He gets people in the stadium. They've shown enough offense, like enough good offense this year with him in the team just running the ball to show that it's worth building a team around him rather than taking on a fight for a rookie who looks good but isn't on there. And we don't know if somebody that size can actually make a difference in the NFL. And there's no way somebody that size can make a difference in the NFL if they're getting sacked all the time because they don't have any, like, pass game at all.
I'm in a lot of NFC and just NFL groups overall, and there's a good amount of Bears fans that don't like Justin Fields.
Wow, really? That is not the impression groups I'm in.
They agree with me. He can't throw.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I think it should, like, the issue the issue is whenever I come to defend him is I think back to those 2-minute the games where they could have won them if Justin Fields was better within the 2 minutes.
And what is the goal?
and there's no separation, but then also he misses the throw completely. An opening the NFL, opening the NFL is realistically being in one-on-one coverage. That's opening. Being open in the NFL is not being in double coverage. is what it's looking like.
So do you see Justin Fields winning a Super Bowl?
If he gets traded to the 49ers, yeah.
On the Bears?
No.
Oh, so they should
I don't see the Bears winning a Super Bowl no matter who they put there. Outside of Pat Mahomes.
So if you got a quarterback that could throw and a bunch of talent with all that money and
if you build it up around them, then I think you could see Fields' path to the Super Bowl if you build it up around him as well.
Without throwing?
Lamar Jackson was fucking close, getting to the Super Bowl.
And he's a way better quarterback than Justin. Okay, whatever.
Yeah,
let's talk some other quarterbacks and where just throw out some ideas you think they end up. Maybe Derek.
Hang on. Okay. We're both in agreement that Justin Fields is probably going to stay at the Bears. So the Bears aren't in need of a quarterback, and Bryce Young's still on the market.
I really hope so.
Yeah. Okay.
I read an article that even explained, even if Aaron Rodgers leaves the division, that and this was a Chicago writer, Justin Fields is still the fourth best quarterback in that division.
Behind Jordan Love, he's better than Jordan Love.
Jordan Love throws way better than Justin Fields.
Yeah, but Justin Fields is just this is where we're different. Two things can be the same, but I think Justin Fields provides more offense with his legs than Jordan Fields provides with his arm.
I think Jordan Love is a way better quarterback because quarterbacks throw the ball, and Justin Fields is a better athlete. But I would take the better quarterback who's athletic than the better athlete who's not a quarterback.
Which position would you put Justin Fields in on a football field if he was up for changing position?
Are you old enough to remember Percy Harvin?
No.
He was amazing, won a Super Bowl with the Seahawks, but was a Viking. He was a running back, receiver, slot guy. That's what I would do with Justin Fields.
Okay. Tight end. Make him a tight end. A tight end that throws. Taysom Hill.
Justin Fields for me would play every position.
Yeah. Offensive lineman.
Well, every skill position.
I could actually see him a linebacker. I think he'd make a cracking linebacker. Yeah, I just think hang on.
Tackle and he has any instincts, he might be Micah Parsons 2.0.
Yeah. Is he better than Taysom Hill? Yes or no?
Yeah.
He's better than Taysom Hill at quarterback.
Yeah, because neither of them can really throw, and he runs better.
Okay, awesome. I was just checking. That is a low bar, by the way. That is setting a low bar. I have been told I need to raise my expectations a couple of times, but
So where do you think Derek Carr ends up?
Carolina, I think, makes the most sense. I think they have he now has great move by his agents, by the way, to get him released. I know in terms of money, it's not the best, but considering he was going to get released anyway,
he was only going to make $32 million this year, though. Only, but he can get over $30 million somewhere else. It was the cap hit that was 40.
Yeah, exactly. He's gonna good move by his agents to get him released early. He now has the basic pick. I think it's any team that has basically said we're not going to get Aaron Rodgers is now in for Derek Carr, right? That's the market there, and I think Carolina are the best fit. They have a great defense. They have Reich now in who's got a history of kind of being good with quarterbacks who aren't the most mentally stable. Going to Carson Wentz at Philadelphia, obviously. And Derek Carr is an improvement on Carson Wentz, mentally and just as a quarterback this season. I think that Pro Bowl outing for Derek Carr actually probably will make a big difference for him. And Derek Carr just didn't get that. Offense at all. That's why I think he just didn't resonate with the offense at all. He's not a bad quarterback. Carolina, team on the up. That division is for the win. He immediately walks into that division and is the best quarterback in the division.
I think if the Jets don't sign him, it's because they know they're getting Aaron Rodgers.
Lamar Jackson.
He's
Yeah.
visiting with the Jets today or tomorrow or some shit like that. So if he walks out of there and they don't sign him, I think they heard something and they know they can get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, I actually think that Derek Carr to Carolina is probably a better fit because of the media.
Why would you want to be on a playoff team?
Well, no, but the Panthers become a playoff team with him in the building because
but they become we get bounced in the first round home game playoff team.
You're there. You're there, and also I think the New York media will be so disappointed at the fact that Derek Carr comes and not Aaron Rodgers that he's already starting on a losing foot with the media and the fan base.
If you sign Derek Carr, you're getting 4 or 5 years though.
Mm-hmm. I did also see a poll. I'm saying that about the media. The fan base of New York, of the Jets, actually don't dislike the Derek Carr move. I saw
loaded.
Yeah, it was like 60% of the fans said that they would go hell yeah if Derek Carr signed for the Jets. I think the options were like hell yeah, and then kind of a meh, and then a oh god please no. And I think 60% were like hell yeah, and then or maybe it was 40% were like hell yeah, like 30 were like nah, okay, and then whatever the rest of 30, whatever the rest of the percentages were like oh god no. So I think it's an interesting. The Jets become better with Derek Carr on the team than they were with Zach Wilson. But if I'm the Jets, then I want Aaron Rodgers desperately.
Baker Mayfield.
Is this the next move for Baker Mayfield? Okay. Nope. I haven't really thought that much about Baker. That's what I mean. The point, the Commanders. That's where I was going.
With Eric Bieniemy there as their new offensive coordinator.
Yeah, that's where I was going with the Commanders as well, and I wouldn't like to see that if I'm being perfectly honest.
I think Eric Bieniemy could get the best out of Baker Mayfield too.
I think it's a brew waiting to blow up, to be perfectly honest. If it's Eric Bieniemy and Baker Mayfield, two really strong personalities that are kind of like both like on their last chances wanting to show that they were right, and I think that's got the temptation to blow up in their faces.
I think they'll be fine. That's where we disagree.
But no, I like the fit.
Either of them fuck this up. If they're together and either of them fuck this up, they're over.
Yeah. Oh, that's fair enough. That's fair. I hope Baker takes what he learned from whatever was happening at the Rams with Baker Mayfield. Looked kind of good considering how bad the Rams were. So I hope he takes that. Well, I don't hope he takes that for the Commanders for me, but I hope he takes that to the Commanders for Baker Mayfield because I actually really like Baker Mayfield. I think if Jared Goff hadn't played so well this season, Baker Mayfield would be the perfect fit in Detroit.
Sam Darnold.
Backup for the Rams, maybe.
Cousins signs a 2-year extension. They sign Sam Darnold as the backup.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that happening as well. Like, Sam Darnold's probably going to be one of the best backups in the
league. Well, I know, but you as a coach, you can go as Kevin O'Connell, right? Like, let's see if there's something in this kid because he was a first draft pick, or is he just a really good backup?
He also looks like he's maybe Sam Darnold. Maybe calling him a backup is harsh. Sam Darnold is a bridge, which is a little different. So
there are quarterbacks though that have became really good after 5 or 6 years, right? Like the game slows down, their intelligence catches up with their athletic ability. So you take a chance on a guy like that, as your backup.
I've always really liked the arm talent and throwing instincts of Sam Darnold. He's just this throwing instincts to just let go of the ball and just be like, there's kind of a space there. Let's squeeze that in there. The issue is he needs to kind of dull down the throwing instincts for the betterment of the team a little bit. But I've always liked the throws that he does make. They look amazing. And he did look better as he went to the end of the season. But I see him being a really good backup in somewhere that needs a really strong backup, somewhere where you're happy to spend a little bit of extra cap money on a backup. So Stafford's
I think guys like that make good backups. I don't think Baker's would make a good backup, but I think Sam Darnold would. And I also think, like I said, he's so young and went through so many offensive coordinators. Yeah. And I wouldn't have the highest hopes, but you never know. If You know what I mean? You just hit gold with something, and the system fits him perfectly because he obviously had talent to be drafted where he was drafted. Something just didn't click.
Yeah, and like he's had spurts of looking ridiculously good as well. Even at USC, like that USC connection down there in LA, that would be fun as well. I think that would be a really good. I actually do think that would be a really good fit for them as well. Like both the LA teams competing for fan bases as much as they can as well. Obviously, the Rams are probably the bigger team in LA right now, but with the Chargers having Justin Herbert and looking like they have a chance, they should have made it through the divisional round of the playoff games. They're the better team right now. I know the Rams just won the Super Bowl, so that feels weird to say. So maybe the Rams bringing a USC guy to back up Stafford might be a good marketing move for them as well. That's stuff that you got to think about, I guess.
So, what do you think about Jimmy G?
Yeah, so Jimmy G, I think, is signposted for the Jets if Rodgers doesn't make it there. I think that's.
I think I'm with you. He goes to whichever team misses out on Rodgers and Derek Carr.
Yeah, I think in my world of Derek Carr moving to Carolina, then he's the next person up for where Rodgers doesn't go, which kind of leaves the Jets as the best fit for him with their top offensive line. I think their wide receiver core is way more stacked than people give it credit for. I don't think they have that crazy physical wide receiver, but Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, like that's a great young base of wide receiver to work on. And with Jimmy G and Breece Hall hopefully fully recovering from his injury and coming out of the backfield, I love that move for them. I also think somebody like the Buccaneers, I think, will be a great fit as well. So Aaron Rodgers probably isn't going to the Buccaneers. I think that would be fucking crazy. Imagine going from Tom Brady to Aaron Rodgers. That would be wild. But Jimmy G at the Buccaneers makes a lot of sense to me as well. So, yeah, I think Jimmy G goes wherever Aaron Rodgers doesn't go.
Geno Smith.
Stays a Seattle Seahawk.
That's my thought too.
Yeah, definitely. Like Geno Smith stays a Seattle Seahawk, right? Like he had a good enough season to prove that works for him. But if I was another team as well, I'm not sure how much of a punt I'd really like to take on Geno Smith because he didn't look great towards the end of the season. I want to know how much of it is Seattle and how much of it is Geno Smith. But if you're Seattle, why mess with what's working? That could be another spot, though, for a guy who, like Andy Dalton or somebody like that, where if Geno Smith falls off, you've got somebody who walks straight in.
If you're the Saints and you're Allen and want to keep your job, maybe you go get Geno Smith so you don't have to play fucking Taysom Hill.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, you keep Andy Dalton if you're the Saints, right?
He's 104. Like he can't throw past 20 yards anymore. Like
yeah, still better than Taysom Hill.
He's no longer the red rifle. He's the red BB gun, bro.
Yeah, you take. Oh, you keep Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston has looked okay.
Jameis is a bigger turnover machine than Dak was this year. That's like
Not under. They're not under Sean Payton anymore. Yeah.
You're Dennis Allen.
You ring the Bears and you say, hey man, how much to get up for the first round pick? And if they say we're willing to trade Justin Fields, then you take that trade too.
And I just read today that a bunch of GMs and scouts and coaches were being talked to about this. And it's pretty much given that the Bears are not going to get a haul for that first overall pick. And that the Colts' best offer so far, and they don't think it'll go much higher, is a first, a second, but they get the Bears' third.
That's not worth moving. You may as well just take whoever you like there.
And right? The argument is that they're not going to take a quarterback, and there's real arguments about the top 3 or 4 guys on who likes who better.
Yeah. And then the Texans are happy for winning.
If you remember, the Chargers said, oh, we don't care. We'll take Tua or Justin Herbert.
How did that work out?
Great for them, but I'm just saying, like, yeah.
Yeah, great. One team's going to come up and better that off. I reckon by the end. Again, don't believe anything.
I'd be shocked after reading all that I've read. I'd be shocked if they get a big ass haul for that, like 3 first-round picks, like they usually to move up to the first spot. Like I don't think they do.
Yeah, I think they probably could. I think it'll come out and somebody will come out and go, right, well, fuck this. Like I'm sick of this. Let's just go for it. Because with Carolina's ownership, for example,
I'm not sure everybody's sold on Bryce Young like I am either.
No, they're not. But it would have to come from somebody that's like a lower down, like around
the Colts. The Colts are the only one I could think that would trade up.
I just think the way that the Panthers kind of are.
Aren't they at like don't they draft like in the mid round though?
Yeah, they do. So you move up and you take like 3. Like that's why it would have to be 3. It would have to be somebody running from back there to move up for that.
And if you're Frank Reich, are you not going to lose your mind if you're trying to give up 3 of my first round picks?
Well, like it depends. The Frank Reich has to sign off on it.
Well, no, but he's your new coach. Like you figure he's in on it.
How much do they lose out in the QB carousel that we're talking? If Derek Carr goes to Tampa Bay, for example, and Aaron Rodgers stays as a Green Bay Packer, and Jimmy G goes to the Jets, a better way around would have been Derek Carr goes to the Jets and Jimmy G goes to Tampa, and Aaron Rodgers stays in Green Bay. Okay. Then you're kind of stuck and go, all right, we don't have a quarterback. So let's 3 first-round picks. Let's see what Bryce Young's got. So unless you think that Will Levis is the best. And then you don't have to go that far.
Yeah, there's literally, and I just started looking at the draft, but there's literally a lot of teams who really like Anthony Richardson, and I can't figure out why.
Yeah, it's like Anthony Richardson, Will Levis, CJ Stroud. It's like Bryce Young is the best.
Anthony Richardson went 6 or 7 games without throwing a touchdown in college football.
Yeah,
this last season.
It's not
How
great.
the fuck are you a first round pick if you went 6 or 7 games straight without throwing a touchdown?
We're in the media cycle of everybody's trying.
Justin Fields threw touchdowns in college.
We're in the realm of media just trying to make news. I think it just takes one team to say, well, I'll offer 3 first-round picks to go up, and because you're paying to jump the Texans, aren't you? You're paying to jump the Texans for whoever you think the best quarterback is. And if you're convinced that the Texans take Bryce Young and you like Will Levis, then you move up with the Cardinals, who are at 3, right? So you move up to the Cardinals, who are at 3, and you go take whoever's second there.
I think I'll be shocked if anybody but the Colts trade for that first overall pick.
Yeah, I think Carolina are definitely in the game here.
And then if you're the Bears, you'd have to offer a ton as Carolina because the Colts are only at 4.
Yeah. With the Bears as well, it depends like kind of where you want to. With the Bears, it depends where you want to be with that. With the Bears, I'd almost be tempted to load next year's. With the questions on Justin Fields, you want to load next year's draft, not this year's draft.
If you fall back to 4, you're guaranteed the first 2 picks are quarterbacks with the Colts and the Texans. That means it's the Cardinals. So you get the second overall pick that you want, the second best player, on your board, first or second non-quarterback. I think 4 is where you trade, depending on what they'll give you.
Yeah, depending on how much you get for it. It's with the amount that the NFL is a lottery. I'm kind of on board with more picks rather than higher picks a lot of the time. There's 2 more quarterbacks that we really need to talk about in terms of the carousel. One is Lamar Jackson. Where do you think he's going to end up?
The Ravens.
Yeah, you think he's staying with the Ravens? Is he signing the franchise tag with the Ravens? There are $100 million in guaranteed money separated.
Nope, he walks in week 10 or whatever it is that you have to make that year count.
Oh, you're thinking he sits out. Nice. That's good for him. Like
I'm
I
not
actually,
mad at this. I don't think he was 100% healthy for the playoffs. He probably
yeah,
could have played and said, "I'm not risking it for a team who's not going to give me security."
yeah. Lamar Jackson looks like the kind of guy, like he plays the way that a year off isn't going to be the worst for his health.
Yeah, because you got to be back by like week 11, I believe, to have an accrued season. You have to have 8 or 6. Used to be 6 games, so I'm not sure what it is with that 17th game now. But
Yeah.
so it was week 10 that you had to be check in by, or the season didn't count.
Yeah, it's funny as well because he only has to suit up, right? He doesn't even have to play.
No, then you get in and you go, "Oh shit, I pulled a hammy because I wasn't
Oops.
here all year."
Yeah, damn, my little toe, like I broke my little toe. Fuck. Yeah, I could see I could definitely see it happening. I like the pathway for Lamar Jackson. I just think there's so many open quarterback spots right now
Let's
that the
see what
Ravens.
franchise tag they give him. If they give him the exclusive, or if they give him the non-exclusive. Because if it's non-exclusive, somebody will give you 2 first-round picks for Lamar.
Yeah, that could be another reason why the Bears aren't getting a lot of big offers right now because Lamar Jackson is on the table, and you're going to have to come with first rounders to go to Lamar Jackson, right?
So
You
who's
don't.
the other quarterback you were talking about?
Mm-hmm.
Who was the last quarterback?
Yeah, so just to finish on Lamar Jackson, I think that the Falcons would be ridiculous not to go up and get him if the reason for that is we drafted Desmond Ritter last year.
Yeah, and if I'm Lamar Jackson, I'm gonna be like, no, thank you. But okay.
Do you know what? Like the Falcons have pieces on that side of the ball. They have tight end who should be incredible in Kyle Pitts, and we'll see if he gets better with Lamar Jackson. And they have Drake London, who's basically a tight end who's playing a wide receiver. So that kind of works for them. And Cordero Patterson, who's a freak. So they do have pieces there to work around. Plus, Atlanta's a lot of fun. Like, nice city, good city to live in and have a good time. Aaron Rodgers is the last quarterback on the quarterback carousel.
Sadly, I think he stays in Green Bay, but I'm hoping he goes to the Jets.
Yeah, why do you think he stays in Green Bay after his darkness retreat? Do you think he has a full-on realization of cheeseheads and like sits there and is dreaming about cheese?
Unless the Packers are trying to make him like look bad in this reverse thing, they said if Aaron wants to stay, he's staying. If he wants to go, he's going. Is what he pretty much said. Aaron made it pretty clear on Pat McAfee he doesn't want to have a rebuild, but he would like to come back to Green Bay. So if Green Bay is willing to re-sign Lazard and a couple of these other guys, Rodgers comes back. If they're not and they go with a youth movement, then Rodgers going to be like, send me out of here.
Yeah. What do you think is better for the Packers at this point? Do you think it's better to run it back? Because they didn't look.
You take one more shot with Rodgers. Like,
yeah.
You're not winning a Super Bowl next year with Jordan Love, but you started to look good those last 7 games of the fucking season with those young receivers. So you fix a little bit on that defense, and now you're a contender again. I don't know.
I wasn't 100% sold on the Packers towards the end of the season. I think they came up against their sternest test in the Lions at the end of the season and lost.
Yeah, but they're young and that happens. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
They won, what, six games out of 7 on the way out the door or something like that. You're bound to lose. And that shit builds confidence, man. And let's be real. Christian Watson looks as good as I told everybody that kid was going to look in the draft. And people thought I was fucking crazy. Like,
he does look good. You're right.
I'm still so mad about that.
Yeah. No, he does look good. I just think they look like the team that was going to get to the playoffs and probably get smashed by whoever they played. Like they didn't. Really
This year, yes, but you fix that defense a little. They're clicking throughout the year. Yeah. They're 11-12 win team next year with Rodgers, probably.
I still think that defense is incredibly overhyped. Like they need to fix that defense. That defense looked like a fix to me. The offensive line is old and often injured, and if they can stay healthy, the offensive line, then fine. Like
they have arguably the best corner in football.
Yeah, and they just didn't live up to any of this hype. Like they're not a bad defense; they just didn't live up to the hype at all. I'm interested. Like, you're totally right. Like, if Aaron Rodgers wants to come back, then you go one more shot with Aaron Rodgers, 100%, because quarterbacks win games. It's not wins isn't a quarterback stat, but quarterbacks do win games. It's like again, two things can be true. The tagline for this show, but you definitely do it. But it would be interesting to see where they could kind of go with the fact that they've got a high draft pick this year, right? Like, they've got higher draft picks this year than they're probably going to have next year. You're right. They could probably get a nice. They could probably reorganize some cap space and things like that to actually have a go at free agency for once in Green Bay. It might be interesting to see if they started their rebuild. This year feels like a better time to start rebuilding than next year, because next year those young guys that they've got this year are going to want contracts, and if Aaron Rodgers has been making them look better than they actually are, that's not particularly helpful. If you're the Green Bay Packers and you know you're losing Aaron Rodgers next year, and you're a classically conservative franchise, would it not be better to kind of tank next year and end up taking a much better quarterback than you would be able to?
I'd rather have a shot at a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I don't think they have a shot with the Super Bowl, even with Aaron Rodgers. I think that would be one of the most surprising Super Bowl wins of all time.
So take last year, I'll go to the year before, lockdown defense, top 5.
Mm-hmm.
They had an off year last year because the offense couldn't stay on the field, which made the defense on the field more than they should have been, which was a problem. The offense started clicking. You got a top 7 to 5 running back. You got 2 wide receivers who are young as hell who started to come on. When your offensive line is healthy, they're one of the better ones in the league if Bakhtiari can stay on the field.
Mm-hmm.
And you got Aaron Rodgers, who probably throws the prettiest ball in the history of football, coming back with another year with them receivers, and you haven't even touched free agency or the draft. I think they got a real shot at being a contender.
Bakhtiari, the reason he doesn't stay on the reason that I take kind of Bakhtiari out of the question is he's shown he can't stay on the field, and it's largely because of niggly stuff with age. Like, the players that we're talking about that facilitate the young players to grow into those things, they're old now, like actually old. And you also had Devontae Adams on the offense. And the reason that they had a down season this year is because they lost probably the best wide receiver in the league last year.
Right. So, they had to get used to the new wide receivers, which made the defense bad.
Yeah, but it's still a step down. No matter how good Christian Watson is, it's still a massive step down.
But then that kills your whole argument that the Chiefs were better off without Tyreek Hill.
No, because like Andy Reid is way better than Matt LaFleur as well. And I'm not a LaFleur hater before we move into this, but they created a better offense with spreading the ball around. And also, am I going to say
Which is exactly what the Packers are doing. They just had to get these young receivers going. Dobbs and Watson came on at the end of the year. You go out and pick up a free agent. The tight end draft is deep as hell. I just like.
What I was nearly going to say is Patrick Mahomes is a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers. And like, at this stage in their career, I stand by that. But I don't want that to be taken in terms of like ever. Aaron Rodgers is like Patrick Mahomes is above Aaron Rodgers.
So then your argument is that nobody can win a Super Bowl but Patrick Mahomes.
Fair point. No. What I'm getting at is the Chiefs' offensive line is better as well than the Packers. Like, the reason that they had a downturn in offense this year is because their offense is not as good. And is more injury prone and is getting older. And there isn't loads that they can do to fix that this year because the cap space kind of comes from Aaron Rodgers not being there.
I have an issue with, like, I get what you're saying. Like, Devontae Adams is a better receiver. Yeah, because he had a better, like, years to show it.
Yeah.
He didn't have a better season last year. And by the end of next year, Christian Watson is going to be talked about as one of the top 3 to 5 receivers in the NFL.
I would be really interested to see that happen. I want you to snip this right now.
I'll put that shit will be a short by tomorrow.
Cool. I'm in it. Good. Awesome.
Yeah, I want a receipt, so motherfuckers have to go. He said that.
That's what I was just going to say. Take that fucking receipt. I'm in the middle of Christian Watson. No big.
You know how easy it is to go, my bad, I was wrong. And it's over. But when you're right, you get to dance. So take that shot because it's easy to go, my bad, and just move on. But when you're right, you get to dance.
Best thing about running a podcast is the ability to show that you were right a while ago. We still need to pick up shit on, like, I need to go back and find the videos of me saying that Calvin Joseph is awful and the Cowboys should have taken Asante Samuel, because I genuinely think we could have won the Super Bowl this year if we had Asante Samuel at quarterback and not Calvin Joseph for most of the year. Clip that shit as well.
I'm ordering you a Calvin Joseph jersey.
Oh God, please don't. Like the worst player I've ever seen play football in my entire life. Like the Cowboys are better not having him on the field than having him on the field. Like he's cost them more yardage than he's stopped yardage since
Maddie's like, fuck it, we're only playing 10. Get off the field. We're only playing 10.
Yeah, definitely. I'd rather better. Rush 3, put on another DB. Anyway, we're not here to talk about Calvin Joseph. But yeah,
I told you about Devon Kearse, didn't I? Too. When you guys signed him, I said you're gonna love this dude. So yeah,
good guy. I just think if you look at the Packers as well, the Lions are going to be loads better next season. I think. No, you think they're going to fall off? I think the Lions are going to be even better next season. I think
they're a 7-9 team.
Wow. Okay. I think the Lions are going to be much better. I think young and growing into it. Same as what you're saying with the Packers. And then I think the Vikings. I genuinely think that the Vikings were real. Like I don't buy this whole thing that the Vikings were shit.
They should have shit defense.
Yeah, they had a terrible defense, and they've just hired Brian Flores to fix that. And they can take their entire draft haul and just put it on the table and just say defense.
Well, and you're not a fan, so I wouldn't expect you to remember and follow all of this. But people seem to fail to realize Lewis Cine, Andrew Booth, both missed pretty much the whole year. Evans missed right after he showed that he's a real corner. So in that secondary, they're getting 3 guys, almost like another draft class, who had a preseason and stuff in them. Like Lewis Cine is fit, like perfect Brian Flores safety. Him and Harrison Smith. That's why I thought Harrison Smith was leaving, unless they signed Flores, which they did. So I think Harrison Smith and Cine, because Flores likes to do the zero look, both safeties at the line, and these two both can blitz and they can fly around the field. And people go, Harrison lost a step. Maybe, but even with a lost step, he's still faster than most of the safeties in the NFL. Like the dude fucking flies.
Mm. Yeah, and I think with the NFC North just getting harder, then maybe it might be time for the Packers to just maybe it might just be time for the Packers to just tear it down, because they've got the pieces. That's the thing. They've got the pieces to build.
And that's why I say you take one more shot, because if it don't work, you can just tear it down next year.
Yeah, you can do both. I just think Rodgers 100% has to buy in this year for me. If I'm the Packers GM, I'm sat there and going, Rodgers has to 100% buy in this year. Like, come to the training camp early, just for this 1 year, this one last year, just give it everything, because he has lost a step in terms of arm, like not crazy, like not to make too much of a difference, but just naturally as you got older. So maybe like it should be time to maybe show up for training camp and shit like that,
And we're as bad as everybody else, but he doesn't even need to make a decision yet, because you can't even make a trade till March.
Yeah. I mean, all these trades have been made already, right? And we're just
but mid-March is when you can make them real. Like anything before that, nobody has. So the thing is you can't, besides Derek Carr, you can't sign any of these free agents till mid-March either. So Rodgers does not have to come out of his darkness retreat on Sunday and make a decision on Monday. I'd be surprised if we heard anything in the month of February.
Yeah, and it would be bad business if we did hear anything in the month of February. Just putting that out there, it means that there's leaks in buildings, because nobody wants to.
Unless Rodgers came out and said, I'm coming back to Green Bay. That's the only way I could see it coming earlier.
Yeah, definitely. I saw a really interesting theory that we shouldn't hear anything. Everything should be on total lockdown until the first game of the season, and you don't know who your team has sacked, hired, traded for, like drafted. You don't know any of it until the first day of the season. No,
Fuck
ridiculous, pointless. Makes our job as podcasters in the off season fucking.
Do you know how much people live for that shit?
Yeah,
Like,
that would be hilarious though. Like, how funny would it be if like everybody's just deliberating and everybody's speculating and you don't know until the first game of the season? Like, as Lamar Jackson walks onto the field as a Detroit Lion, that's the first time that you know anything about
watch your mouth. You mean as he walks onto the field as a Commander?
Yeah. No, that just weren't that. No, we've got Micah Parsons.
You just did to me.
I'm not scared of the Commanders, whoever they've got.
Shit. Here's the thing. If they had Lamar, would they win the division? Probably not. But would every team fear them every time they played him because it's Lamar and anything can happen? Yes.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, it's okay. The Commanders seem to be willing to roll with Sam Howell.
No.
Yeah, because they beat the Cowboys when the Cowboys were like just not there at all.
You know what you got with Taylor Heineke though, so you might as well.
In the current Madden season that I'm doing with me as the quarterback of the New York Jets, who just won the Super Bowl, like just saying, not difficult to do on Madden.
Madden can do it, but not Aaron Rodgers.
I think that Aaron Rodgers could win the Super Bowl with the Jets. I've never said that. But the Taylor Heineke is the passing yards leader for the Houston Texans right now, which is fun. I can't see that happening. I don't think that'll ever happen.
Well, on that note, we might as well just get out of here with Taylor Heineke leading the Texans with passing.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks for watching. I haven't told Maddie this yet, but I got this online thing where we can probably do a mock draft and I can probably get it on the screen live. So that's something we'll probably be coming with at some point.
Let's do it. Sounds fun.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.